Sri Lanka are only 82 runs ahead with 4 wickets left. They got their last pair together. We've enjoyed Jamie Smith getting his first century today. He's worked his way through the 90s. There's no question of him repeating his failed attempt to get to his first century with a 6 as he did against the West Indies and perished on 95. He made 111 today, and there were solid contributions all the way through. Atkinson 20, Potts 17, Wood through the bat for 22 as England were bowled out for 358, so they added 99 for those last 4 wickets, giving them a lead of 122. And then, yes, 1 for 2 just before lunch. Marushka and Mendes both getting ducks, 1 to Wokes, 1 to Atkinson. But then they grafted away. Karunaratne made 27. It was Angelo Matthews, really, who held the innings together, 65. And he really did get his head down. He was dropped once by Joe Root, but that didn't really matter very much. Dhananjaya was out for 11, and then Milan Ratnayaka played a rather strange shot there, was caught at mid-on. Between all that, Chandimal was hit a nasty blow on the thumb. He retired hurt when he was on 10. He went down for an X-ray, which happily revealed no serious damage, and he's able to bat. He's actually not out at the moment, alongside Kaminda Mendes, who was also dropped on 35. So Sri Lanka 204 for 6. Bowling wise, who's been the best for England? Wokes by some distance, 2 for 34 from 12 overs, 3 maidens, benefiting from a change of ball at 146 for 4. Quite a laborious process, this, and certainly the ball they were going to use as a replacement was clearly much darker, much deeper colour than the one that they were getting rid of. So actually they brought out another box of balls and tried to find something that wasn't quite so shineable, shall we say. However, England, as they will, got on to work on the replacement, and it did buff up nicely, and they went from bowling reverse swing, which is obviously when the ball you think has had it and can't swing conventionally, back to conventional swing, and Wokes bowl really well with that. There are a couple of drop catches and some opportunities along the way. So anyway, 204 for 6, the lead by 82. Michael Vaughan's alongside me. Russell Arnold is also here. Michael, let's get your assessment of the day, shall we?
Yeah, good day for England. Starting with Jamie Smith, who is a fine player. You know, to get his debut Test 100 here, he got close against the West Indies at Edgbaston, but England have really picked a fantastic player. You know, I think first and foremost at this level, all right, the Sri Lankan attack, the West Indies attack, it's not in the Premier League of Test match attacks at the minute. I think the challenge against India and Australia next year, and obviously some tours away from home, will challenge him more so. But first and foremost, I always look at bat and say, can you defend? Can you survive? And can you play the best ball that the bowler can bowl in a real calm fashion? He can do that. He's got a beautiful forward defence. He uses his feet nicely. And he's obviously got that game to go up in the gears and attack. You know, he's got such power. You know, that driving through the offside, it's a pure drive. And against spin, I mean, again, it's Jai Surya bowled beautifully against him, but it's not the spin that you get in India or sometimes Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. But he looks like he plays spin nicely. He looks like he's got another gear to go to as well, which is a good sign for England. And, you know, let's be honest, his innings at Edgbaston was under a bit of pressure. And England, you know, this morning there was a little bit of pressure on the game, particularly last night as well. And he's been able to play in a calmness, which is a really good sign going forward for the future. So England have found a really good player in Jamie Smith. And with the ball in hand, they just did what they do. I think Chris Wokes, as soon as he gets the duke ball in his hand, it's moving around, he's as good as anybody.
Yeah, he is.
In world cricket in these conditions. So it's not easy for Sri Lanka. One concern is Mark Wood strolling off. He looks like he's got a little bit of a niggle in that groin. So that'll be a concern for England. But yeah, professional. 1 or 2 drop catches. I mean, if you want an ultimate 100% performance and a great day, you know, the 2 chances that went down for England, Joe Root's at first slip, Gus Atkinson at backward point, those chances should be taken. Yeah, again, I'm always looking with my spectacles on against the better teams. You know, you can't allow those drops to happen against the better teams.
No. Interesting how Smith played, I thought, through the 90s, and of course he was beautifully done by that slower ball against West Indies, which he admitted he was trying to get to his first century with a 6 on 95, and it all went wrong. None of that today. Singles virtually all the way, and I think a little 2 just to get there. He just made sure he got to that.
Just get your.
You can't fail twice. I mean, people start to talk, don't they? Oh, 90s again.
Yeah, and I always say to any players that get into the 90s, just play like you've played to get to 90. Yeah. Why change? I mean, Kevin Peterson used to change dramatically. Andrew Strauss, Strauss, the cool fella, used to change.
Jittery.
just play. You've played great to get to 90. Just carry on in that kind of vein. And yeah, he'll be delighted. He's got his first Test match century. It certainly isn't going to be his last. No. I think the debate's going to be in the space of a few months or so. He's like, is Jamie Smith batting too low? He's such a good player, but England have got this powerhouse of a batting lineup, and they want someone at 7 who can damage if he's having to bat with the tail, and he's certainly got the skill set to do so.
Yeah. Right, Russ, all about Sri Lanka today. How do you rate their performance?
Another hard day, but they've managed to hang in there. They're still they are ahead by 78 runs. A partnership gets them into a position, a partnership of 100 I'm talking about, between Mendes and Chandimal. That's what they need right now. But if you looked at the day, didn't start the way they wanted to. They needed that early wicket. And the execution wasn't 100%, just not able to build the pressure on the English batters. When it came to the batting, again, first 2 wickets before lunch.
Nightmare start. Yes.
They were not what they needed. 3 overs to survive. And Angelo Matthews coming to Mendes, they're trying hard, and they just seem to be getting comfortable when again they get knocked back. But I've been impressed with the fight. They've not been in front at any stage, and you always expect them to be under pressure against this quality English team. But they're battling their way, and who knows, fourth morning, a 100-run partnership can come their way, and then then we'll be looking at it in a slightly different way.
Yeah, I think these they've still got 2 frontline batsmen, haven't they, in the middle at the moment?
And Chandimal doesn't look in any discomfort after that injury. He's come back and he's looking positive. Mendes is that type of player, and hence they just need to win a couple of hours, I guess. Not the whole day, a couple of hours tomorrow morning, a session. And then that lead will be over 150, and maybe England will start looking at it in a different way.
Tell us about Angelo Matthews. I mean, he's been a thorn in England's side, and obviously other teams as well. He's been a slightly controversial figure in and out of the team. He's obviously kind of his own man, is he? I mean, he's had his battle or two with authorities, which happens a bit with Sri Lankan cricket. But to see him battle away here today, he's very determined.
That's for sure. He keeps working on his game, trying to get fitter. At the age of 37, he certainly has slowed down and not as agile as he used to be. Throughout his career, there were lots of injuries, but at least now, just as a pure batter, his experience and quality is speaking for itself. And he keeps making runs, even in difficult times. Got his own style. It's not a style that you're going to be teaching young kids, this is how you bat, but the fact that he knows to make runs, he knows his game, and sticks to it in how he accumulates those runs is pure class. He knows how to build an innings as well. When needed, he'll take to the bowler to put pressure on them. He picks the right moment, so that's what you really need.
Yeah, he's unorthodox, isn't he, Michael? He gets in some strange places.
Yeah, but I love him for that. I just think, to survive so long, you can't just play one way, you get found out. The first innings he bats back in his crease, he leaves one his LBW, and the second innings he comes out of his crease. So he's saying to Chris, well, it's right, you got me in the first innings, but I'm not allowed to do that too in the game. He's got the gift to be able to kind of go up and down in the gears. He can defend. I think he's a very smart. I mean, you look at him in white ball cricket, he's been fantastic. Really smart, very clever bowler as well. And I think that really helps batters.
Yes.
When you can bowl a bit, I think it really helps you as a batter, because you can get into the minds of the bowler of what they're trying to achieve to get you out. He's a fighter, isn't he? As you said, that innings back in 2014 at Headingley, where Sri Lanka came from nowhere to win that Test match. There was a brief moment this afternoon where I thought, he's there again. There certainly won't be many of the England. Probably Joe Root was the only one that was around in 2014 would have remembered that. But I certainly remember being at Henley when he played that extraordinary innings. There was a brief moment today when he started to get going and thought,
and then the ball change happened.
Well, the ball change is always interesting in the UK. It worked for England in the Ashes last year at the Oval. And
it caused quite a row too, by the way.
Yeah, it did, and rightfully so. I mean, that ball that they got at the Oval was a joke compared to the one that they changed. And today, I don't think it was quite as drastic, but it was a better ball that they got. And I guess that's just a little bit of the fortune that you get playing here in the UK. I will get something about Sri Lanka this morning. I thought they started really poorly. And Sri Lanka don't have the depth at the minute that England have in terms of backroom and, the kind of database. I'm sure there's data there, but, mindset and attitude is everything. And to think that Sri Lanka went out there for that first ball and they had to send on the shin pads for silly point. Now, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, surely you would have talked about what's going to happen before the first ball started. So I'd been disappointed with the mindset of Sri Lanka I was Sanif Jayasuriya.
Let's join Henry Moran, who's with Jamie Smith.
Well, Jamie, we'll get onto the match situation shortly, but Test Centurion, how does that feel?
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible feeling when you put it like that. Missing out, I guess, last time at Edgbaston, you always have that little niggling thing in the back of your head that always says that, what could have been. But yeah, it's a great feeling.
You spoke quite philosophically after that Edgbaston game and said, 95 and 96, still great score, but it is a special moment reaching a milestone. Yeah,
exactly, it is. Whenever there's a stat that says that it's an important thing, it's always in the back of people's minds, isn't it, moving forward. But yeah, to get over the line was a very good feeling.
What about the match situation? It's a long, grinding day.
Yeah, there's not the most, in this sort of wicket. It's going to be quite a attritional side of things. We've seen that now for the past, 3 days. But yeah, we're very happy with the position we're in, taking 6 wickets there, and they're not too far ahead of being 80 odd ahead. So yeah, we feel in a good position.
Not the perfect day in terms of a couple of missed opportunities, drop catches.
Yeah, I mean that's the game, isn't it? It's never easy. It's people don't mean to make mistakes at all. So it's more for the bowlers that are creating the chances that it shows that we're still creating and making things happen, which I guess is the most important thing. It'd be worse if we had no drop catches and they were naught down. So it shows that we're creating and we're all putting in. It's been, as you said, 3 tough days, and we're looking to do well tomorrow.
Talk me through that no ball. It was an unusual one with the gloves just level with the stumps.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't know the law. I thought if you broke the stumps, then that would be a no ball, but clearly the law is different. So yeah, at least it's been flagged now, so I know moving forward that is the law and stay away from it.
What was the conversation out there when that was all happening?
Well, I guess it's pretty clear cut. They said it's a no ball and you can't even touch the line. So I guess moving forward, it's simple now. You sort of know what to do and what not to do.
Mark Wood, any sense of what might be the issue there?
Not at all. Obviously, I've just come in, but he'll be assessed overnight. But fingers crossed that he's all good to go for tomorrow.
And just finally, Chris Woakes, a word on him. A phenomenal spell. That ball seemed to be doing a little bit more, but he has that amazing ability when it is doing that to really make the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, as soon as the lights come on and there's a hint of doing anything, Woakes seems to find a lot out of that situation when others probably wouldn't. Not a lot really changed apart from the lights came on, but he seemed to find that extra bit of zip and he really put them under pressure and created a few chances. On another day, we'd have had a couple more wickets there.
Well played today.
Many
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry, and well played, Jamie Smith. Yes, that wicket-keeping incident was interesting. We've seen stumpings ruled not out because the wicket-keeper has taken the ball in front of the stumps. But certainly, Victor, what about you? You've been around rather longer than I have. I've never seen a no ball adjudged in that situation with the gloves just up on the line, and well, the law is quite clear that your wicketkeeper's gloves have to be behind the wicket, and they weren't. Does this mean that every ball now is going to be reviewed as well when a spinner's bowling to make sure that the wicketkeeper's gloves are behind the line?
Well, I think Jamie Smith will be a bit more careful. I mean, I've never seen that happen before. Mind you, when we started playing Aggers, they didn't have all these television replays, so it may have happened and no one will have noticed. I mean, it's an odd rule. Well, it's a fair rule, but you're not actually...
They have to be somewhere, don't they? Yeah. There has to be a line somewhere.
Yeah, but he's not actually taking advantage. It's not a witting mistake. It's just... But I imagine he'll adjust, and
yes.
Alex Stewart and Ben Befend Folks will be giving a little bit of advice. Don't forget, by the way...
Well, he'll never do it again, that's for sure. Cookie, have you seen that before?
I've never seen it before.
No.
I also want to know why they looked at it. So the only thing I have about it is, all the DRS I've ever seen, they go straight to.
Very good point.
They go straight to the front foot for the bowler and then go onto it. They've actually got like a sheet they've been told to do. What made Joel Wilson go and look at it?
They must have been talking about it.
They must have been talking. If they were talking about it, where is the bit of common sense the umpires are allowed to go and just go up to James Smith, but by the way, you're pretty close there. Your gloves.
Which is what John Hold was talking about yesterday with bowlers and no balls.
Well, I didn't know that I thought it was in front of the stumps. I thought you could be level with the stumps. If someone had to ask, throw a question, I didn't know it was literally you cannot break the stumps at all. So I felt for a little bit, James. Thankfully, as you said, it didn't make any difference.
It wasn't out, no.
It wasn't out. The only thing which is a little bit funny is that Jamie Smith, it's a kind of part of his routine to put his hands forward. So he likes where you stand with your feet, the keeper. Not that I've done any keeping, is where you need to be to get as close as you can to the bails. But obviously, part of his routine is he likes getting his hands out and then back in. So he has to stand a little bit further back away from the sun. So
yes.
that might just affect his keeping a little bit.
Yeah.
And presumably it's when the ball's been released that he's got to be behind, is it?
No,
or not?
Because, well, again, we've been discussing this. So we've got nothing else to do. But apparently, someone said that it's when the ball is in
the air.
In play, which is then the start of the run-up.
Ah, right.
I assume, because otherwise, because then you can man-cad someone, can't you? Technically.
Yes, you can.
So that's part of when the ball is in play. Because I was wondering, was it when it was released? Does he have to have his ball?
Where's John Holder?
Well, he came too early, didn't he?
But I've never seen that, and I don't expect. I mean, it's just an oddity at the moment, but it could have been a very big moment if that had been 3 reds. And
yes, yeah, well, exactly. Angelo Matthews, Cookie, I hardly dare bring that name up to you, but he's a frustrating cricketer, isn't he?
Well, he is, and I don't know what it is about certain cricketers who every side kind of has one which tends to do well in certain conditions against you. Obviously, Michael Vaughan was gleefully showing everyone on the TV the 2014 scorecard and making very aware who was captain at that time. But he just has a knack, doesn't he, of scoring difficult runs, runs when it really matters, and actually that is down to the quality of him, really. And that's he can take a great deal from that over his career. That a lot of the runs he's scored have been important, like a match
gritty runs,
match affecting runs, which is actually what you're meant to do.
And it's also in the context of his first innings nightmare padding up.
Yes.
And he came out, and the first ball, he could have easily left that, but he actually punched it for 3, a bit wide of his body, but he was going to take a kind of very positive approach right from the start to get going again and assert himself.
Yes.
It takes a bit of bravery to do that, because you're thinking, I don't want to make another mistake.
It's unusual. He gets himself in odd places, and actually his dismissal was a bit of a... How did he get that there, to back good point?
It's weird, like Jimmy always said about nicking the in-swinger. It was an in, because obviously Chris Wokes had bowled, with this... I know we spoke about the change of the ball a lot, but it did start swinging, and I reckon 3 or 4 player misses in that channel, fifth stump, probably playing at balls he didn't have to, but because of what happened in the first innings, he made him play. And then, Chris Wokes bowled the in-swinger, and he nicked it, which is strange, isn't it?
It is.
Well, I suppose if he's really good, he sees the in-swinger, so he thinks, I can hit that square, and he closes the face a little bit early.
I just think he didn't actually close the face, but I think he did. Something happened that he was out a little, because people have technical flaws. And actually, Matthews has a couple of technical flaws, with the way he hits the ball. It's not like Jamie Smith, we called it his stop. Jamie Smith's stop is so solid in a defensive shot, but it feels more than a defensive shot. It's like everything's in everything's in behind it.
You will not get past.
No movement after the ball's been hit. It's so solid. But actually, Matthews doesn't do that. He's a bit more flexible with his hands, and moves a lot more afterwards. So it's not quite the same. So a bit like Dravid. And if Dravid can get away with it, scoring 13,000 tests, so it shows you can do it in a different way. And Matthews goes into that kind of category, a lot of movement afterwards, but he's got such a good eye and he uses his hands to get out of trouble. And if he gets it slightly wrong, he gets in a slightly awkward position, so that's why his technique doesn't look
And
quite.
I suppose the movement is because he's not properly balanced, as Smith is it?
Well,
he has to move, otherwise he'll fall over.
But it's a kind of a different balance. Actually, Matthews does look quite balanced. He's just a bit more moving. He's a bit more... Like Smith is rock solid, a bit more trigger, play a shot, moves, stay still. Well, Matthews is a bit more handsy, a bit more feely batsman, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, absolutely. Talking of feely, how do you think Ollie Pope did? Because it's tricky when the pitch doesn't seem to be doing anything, and you're just trying to find ways of getting people out and obdurate players like that. I don't know how many plans he could have gone to really today. They tried the short stuff, which is what they like to do. But there's not much happening in that pitch.
But there isn't much. There's nothing different, I would say, he could have done. When Matthew Potts came back for his first spell, he bowled beautifully for 3 or 4 overs. And then nothing was happening, and then they went to the short ball after that. I wonder, again, this is not a criticism, I wonder whether he could have been a bit more patient and stayed at that top of off for a little bit longer, which I think in this mould of England's side, they don't like doing that. They want to keep trying to get wickets. But you can sometimes like sit back a little bit and say, right, we're going to go for no pressure. We're not going to try and go for any runs. You know, it's my mindset probably more than their mindset. We're going to hold for a bit longer. But apart from that, you know, he tinkered the field. He moved very much what like Ben Stokes would have done.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the same actually. Partly because they played.
We're old.
Yeah, we are both. You know, curmudgeonly. I'm obviously much more curmudgeonly and older. But I thought, and it proved that actually the short ball, when they were bowling the short ball, partly because the Sri Lankans played it so well, they didn't, you know, go straight after it. They just watched it go by most of the time. And you thought, poor Mark Wood, he's wasting all this energy and he's not getting anywhere. It didn't look like it were going to get the wicket.
Yeah. Like Mendes, actually, the first 2 balls he did take on, didn't he? And he hit 1 for 6 and 1 he clothed to Ben Duckett. And I think when you do that and you think, oh, he's compulsive, then I understand why you then get dragged into doing it. Yeah. And then he actually
ducked everything.
He then ducked everything. Changed
it really well.
So credit to him rather than kind of criticising England for doing it.
Andy Zoltzman, what's tickled your fancy today?
There's a few quite nice stats today, including one that I've just dug up, that England in the second innings, Wokes struck in his first over, as did Atkinson, as did Wood, as did Root when he took over from the injured Wood.
Yes.
And if I've crunched the numbers correct on the CricViz system, that's the first time in Test history that a team has had 4 bowlers take a wicket in their first over of an innings.
Well, that is exciting.
So, yeah.
So you're the guy in England to change your analysis, saying, well, actually, Ollie Pope just keep changing
just try anyone.
every over.
Yeah,
we've been too kind to Pope. He didn't change the bowling often enough.
Other than that, Jamie Smith, he's made a fantastic start to his career. Just 5 innings, 318 runs, 3 scores of 70 or more, only the third England player to have 3 70-plus scores in his first 5 innings in Tests after Harry Brook and Brian Valentine from the 1930s. The second most runs by a wicketkeeper in the first 5 innings of a Test career in Test history from any team, and also the 6th most by any England player in his first 5 innings in Tests. So an extraordinary start. Also, his innings was one of the least lucky England hundreds of the last 10 years. There have only been 2 England centuries with fewer false shots by the time the player reached 100 since 2014. So incredibly secure in a game in which wickets have fallen fairly regularly. England had a low boundary count in this match. We've seen a bit of moderation with Bazball. We've seen a very slow outfield here, but just 38% of their runs came in boundaries in their innings, which is the 3rd lowest since Stokes and McCullum took over in 50 innings. Looking at the start of Sri Lanka's innings, 6 for 2 in the first innings, 1 for 2 in the second, 7 runs in total for their top 2 wicket partnerships in the whole match, which is the 5th worst in Test history and the 3rd worst since 1896. And Chris Wokes instrumental in that. He's now taken 35 wickets in 7 Tests, average 18 since coming back into the side last summer. Kamindu Mendes, just quickly, he's now got 496 runs in just 7 innings. If he makes 4 more tomorrow, he'll be the 11th player to reach 500 in 7 innings or fewer.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Andy, I guess all eyes on Mark Wood tomorrow. It's a reminder, really, of devastating pace, but there is a frailty behind it that England are obviously very careful to protect.
Yeah, and he hasn't played hard. He's played no cricket since the last Test match, so whether that kind of needs to be moderated a little bit, 3 days of bowling. But yeah, hopefully it didn't look too serious. Whether there's again a little bit of cramp again.
Yeah,
but they won't take any risks with him for certain. He's got to be right for them to have him charging in again because he's a little nugget for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know whether he can continue just playing Test cricket and preparing himself to play Test after Test and nothing else. I don't know.
Lead 82, another 100 runs would be interesting.
It will be interesting. This pitch is what I call the new Old Trafford, really. Not like the pitch we kind of associate, or certainly for my generation, of getting worse. It actually tends to stay pretty solid the whole time and stay the same for the whole 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, barely a ball has turned today.
There'll be 4 tricky balls all match.
Yeah, and they've all got wickets